contribute to the workforce?
Well, look, I'm not sure where you're coming from, but there are a lot of things mixed up in that question. Capitation fees, as I know it, are charged by private educational institutions. There's very little the government can do. I don't know whether we can regulate it or etc. Like it's a medical college. What happens is it's an economy where there's a tremendous amount of demand. Let's say medical education. So what is happening? The government is running medical colleges and you have to compete to get into them. Create more medical colleges, but how many more can you create? You can create n number. So that part is, I think, what you are saying. I don't have an answer for that. I don't think anybody has an answer for that. If you don't like it, you don't want to pay the fees, don't go there. I mean, that's the answer. But in a democracy, I can't tell a guy, government can step in if the level of education is not up to it. Government can de-recognize them. But the government, if you're running a school which qualifies, the government can't tell you whether you should charge fees 15 rupees or 150 rupees. I studied in Delhi University, one of India's premier educational institutes, where the fees was 15 rupees.
I think
it's a scam.
You should tell them what it is.
15
in
rupees
dollars.
means kitna yaar? I don't think it's gone up.
35 cents.
35 cents. Now, why? Because the University Grants Commission is providing the money. I think it's, India will go broke if it follows that pattern. I think what we need is a judicious balance between the private sector and the public sector. Even where the government makes quality education available, it must charge something for it because teachers cost money. But the private sector similarly cannot because it gets no grants. Now, if I run a medical college and I get nothing from the government, why shouldn't I charge the fees that I want to? So the problem is not the capitation fee. The problem is, am I providing quality services? That is the issue. On people going for a job and asking for people asking capitation fees, I don't think your question is right. If there is a slowdown in the economy here, and some of you want to go back, it's what is called the reverse drain. There was a brain drain. A lot of people were educated in India and came out to the United States. I think India should have cribbed at that point of time. Why are we producing engineers and doctors and they're going abroad? Because the Indian educational model is based on state support. The fact that state makes land available, the fact that state makes other facilities available, yet people go out. You can't start cribbing now when they start going back. If there's a slowdown in India and people think they can make money in slowdown here, people can make money in India through jobs, let them go. These are normal processes.
तो नमस्ते जी और आपको भी सलाम. मेरा question, my question is directly what do you see when Narendra Modi is doing the things in India? Do you see as an example that other chief ministers of India should follow that so that country can rise? How do you see Narendra Modi and his work?
Currently, I say I know Narendra Modi very well. He belongs to my generation. And if your question is, what has he done for the economic development of Gujarat? Well, I think everyone is praised for that economic development. And I think a lot of people wish that other chief ministers of Indian states also register the same economic development. But if your question is going into other political issues in terms of where there is a controversy around Narendra Modi, you haven't asked me and I'm not going to guess your question.
Hi. My name is Saeed, and I study at IFTU. I'm an international student. My question is about the terrorism phenomena in the region, which is not only a regional phenomena, but also an international phenomenon. Do you think enough has been done to tackle this issue in Afghanistan or elsewhere? In particular in Afghanistan, because it's where also India is located nearby Afghanistan. And do you think a regional solution will be better than an international solution? And what can India offer?
That's a problem when being in the company of bright students. You get too many questions in one. First is terrorism. Okay, I'll come to that. Second is what's happening in Afghanistan and finding a solution to Afghanistan, and is a regional solution required? Well, let me start with the regional solution in Afghanistan. Look, Afghanistan, there is a problem. Make no mistakes. It's going in for elections. There are other things, but there are going to be problems. And if the United States begins the process or commences the process of withdrawal starting June 2011. I think your question is if there will be a power vacuum, that's in the back of your mind, and what happened? Well, I'm one of those who says that in any such situation, including in Afghanistan, the countries in the region have to cooperate and help in the stabilization in a positive manner. Who are the countries in the region? Two of us represent two countries. There is Iran, there are other countries. Yes, they have to work together to make sure, because you're right, if this scourge of terrorism which is being witnessed there, whether it's born there or comes from other parts, if you're referring to Al-Qaeda, it affects everyone. That's the point. Are we doing enough about the issue of terrorism? I think we're trying, but clearly the answer is no, we're not doing enough. Otherwise, we would be getting a firmer grip on the terrorist issue. Why are we not doing enough? It requires another discussion. What are the situations in individual countries? What are the cross-border links? What's happening elsewhere? Is this a genuine reaction to policies being followed by major countries elsewhere? How much of it this is ideologically motivated? How much of it is economically motivated? Is there justification for someone who's otherwise well-to-do to feel strongly about this and want to come and, say, blow up the World Trade Tower? It's a longer discussion. But if your answer is, are we doing enough on terrorism? I'm sorry, I think we need to do more. And on Afghanistan, certainly its neighbors should cooperate in a positive manner.
We have time for just one more question.
My name is Abhay Agarwal and I'm doing MBA Finance over here. My question is on the background of the recent victory, diplomatic victory which India had. My question is like, how do you see India's clout growing in UN, be it in form of a permanent seat in Security Council? And if I'm not wrong, India is Indians not even in the quota of countries whose nationals are allowed to appear for UN services examinations.
Let's start with your Indians not being allowed to appear in the examination. Look, the UN is a multilateral body of 192 countries. And if a lot of people come in from one country, sure, there will be a restriction. First of all, I don't know what you're saying is factually correct, but the issue is the following. There are too many Indians in the UN. That is a problem. Therefore, whenever an Indian applies for a job in the UN, most people come to say, you are a national from what is called an oversubscribed.
Over quota.
You way exceeded your quota. That is the problem. So let's have a perspective. It's not as if the clout is measured there. I think I could argue the case the other way around. Because maybe the Indians are too pushy, they get into the UN, and afterwards there's a reaction. You know, you're way beyond their quota. Not only Indians, Pakistanis also, others, but there are, on the other hand, countries where their nationals don't come for UN job. So if you're a national of those countries, they'll say, please come, we are looking for, your quota is undersubscribed. On clout, I don't know what clout means, frankly. Who has clout? United States?
Yes.
Yeah? How do you measure clout? In an election?
Not really. It's like decision-making power.
Where? In the Security Council?
Security Council or be
Abhay, let me ask you a question. We contested an election yesterday. We got 187 votes out of 190. Pick any one of the 5 Security Council members and ask them to appear for the same election which I had to struggle through for 1 year. How many votes do you think they'd get?
That's the question. Why is not that vote?
Because the architecture was so divined in 1945. Ambassador Kamal and I were smart cookies. We sat down here. Anyone else who wants to come and fight an election? Okay. What is clout? I don't know. A country's, if you mean respect, acknowledgement, look, you have to do a lot of work. You have to get your human rights policies right. You have to speak up for development. You've got to contribute to peacekeeping. You've got to do a lot of things. If on the other hand, you think that you are primus inter pares and you can decide that you don't like this guy's country, there can be a regime change there, that's not going to make you popular. So please be very careful on what is clout, what is influence, etc. I find fighting elections very difficult because it completely saps your energy. I would like to encourage reform of the Security Council at some stage where all of us have to fight the same election. Then we'll वो कहते हैं ना आटे दाल का भाव पता लगेगा then you find out how much this is. Look, it's an unfair world. devised in 1945